Do you remember government cheese or a loaf of day-old bread on the table? For many families in 1970s America, these no-frills foods weren't just an option. They were what you bought when there was no other choice. They filled cupboards, stretched paychecks, and carried households through the hardest times. In this video, we'll look back at 17 grocery items that became the everyday taste of life when money was tight. Government cheese was a massive block of processed cheddar, handed out through federal programs in the 1970s to families who needed a little help. It came in a plain brown box, no brand name, no frills, just cheese. And here's the truth. It was delicious. Thick, rich, salty, and filling. It made the best grilled cheese sandwiches and gave macaroni that creamy kick kids still remember. For many, it became more than just food. It was a taste of childhood. Even today, people look back and say that government cheese, for all its humble packaging, was some of the best they ever had.
You don't say ham, you say spam. Spam is real spice. Ham, you don't say ham, you say spam.
Spam was the meat in a can that never seemed to run out of uses. You popped the lid and slid out that pink salty block, and from there it could become anything. Sliced thin and fried until crispy, it made a breakfast that filled the whole house with smell. Chopped into macaroni, stirred into casseroles, or stacked on white bread with mustard, it turned into lunch or dinner without complaint. Spam was no luxury, but it stretched the budget, kept everyone full, and always had a spot in the pantry. For families watching every dollar in the 1970s, it wasn't just canned meat. It was a dependable meal that many still look back on with a smile. Powdered milk was always around, ready to be mixed into a pitcher when the budget was tight. It never tasted quite like fresh milk, but moms poured it into cereal, stirred it into baking, and used it to stretch the real thing a little further. Some even made cheese from it. Kids, of course, found their own way with it. Some ate it dry by the spoonful. Others added just a splash of water and made a sweet paste. If you never tasted powdered milk, then you never really knew what life was like back then. It wasn't anyone's favorite, but it became one of those unforgettable flavors of the 70s. Rice was one of the true staples of poor families in the 70s. Cheap, filling, and able to stretch almost anything into a meal. A pot of rice could turn a can of beans into dinner, soak up tuna, or sit under a ladle of gravy and feel like comfort food. Leftovers never went to waste because cold rice fried with an egg became a whole new dish the next day. And if time was short, families reached for minute rice, the instant version that cooked in just a few minutes. Whether slow-simmered or poured from a box, rice was always there, turning little into enough. Off-brand cereal came in giant plastic bags, with no cartoon mascots, no prizes, and none of the flashy colors of Quisp, Quake, or Grape Nuts. But when that bowl hit the table on a Saturday morning, none of that really mattered. Fruity circles, marshmallow shapes, corn crunch. Whatever was in the bag, it was sweet, crunchy, and gone in minutes. You poured it high, drowned it in milk, and kept filling your bowl until the bag was clipped shut again with a clothespin. Even without the famous names, those cereals tasted just right, and for many families, they became the true flavor of childhood mornings. Canned tuna in oil was one of those staples you could count on. It went into sandwiches with mayo, baked into casseroles, or mixed into pasta for a quick family dinner. And when tuna twist came along, those little seasoning packets made a plain can of tuna feel like something brand new.
We're in tuna twist, so tuna tastes fresh as the garden.
Just add tuna twist to tuna and mayonnaise.
It wasn't gourmet fare, but it was affordable, versatile, and ready whenever you opened the cupboard. For a lot of families, tuna meant you never had to wonder what lunch would be, because the answer was sitting right there on the shelf. Day-old bread stores were treasure troves for families on a budget. Shelves stacked with loaves, hamburger buns, and rolls that were just a little past fresh but sold for a fraction of the price. Moms froze what they couldn't use right away, turned stale slices into stuffing, or made breadcrumbs so nothing went to waste. And alongside those discounted loaves, cornbread often found its way to the table too. Simple, hearty, and cheap to bake. Whether it was white bread from the day-old shop or cornbread from a skillet, it kept lunchboxes full and made sure dinner plates never looked empty. Bologna was the lunch meat nearly every kid grew up with, and Oscar Mayer made sure you never forgot it. Their jingle, "My Bologna has a first name,"
My bologna has a first name. It's OSCAR.
was on every TV, and it stuck in your head long after the commercial ended. At home, those thin slices turned into sandwiches piled on soft white bread, maybe with a little mustard or cheese if you were lucky. Fried in a skillet, bologna curled into little cups that kids gobbled up right off the plate. Affordable and always easy to find, bologna became a staple in kitchens everywhere, and a taste that still brings back childhood memories. Few dinners were as familiar as boxed macaroni and cheese. Kraft's Blue Box was the star, with Golden Grain close behind, both offering that neon orange cheese powder and a pot of elbow noodles that could be on the table in minutes. Moms knew how to make it stretch, add a splash of milk if there was some, hot dogs if you had them, maybe even a can of tuna. Kids loved it either way, because it was warm, cheesy, and filled their plates fast. For many families, a simple box of mac and cheese became a weeknight tradition, the kind of meal you still remember by color alone. Vienna sausages came in little cans, pale and soft, floating in salty liquid. The texture was odd, the smell was strong, and they weren't exactly appetizing, but they were cheap, lasted forever, and filled an empty plate when there was nothing else around. Some ate them cold with crackers, others fried them for a bit of extra flavor. Few people claimed they loved them, but almost everyone remembers them. Vienna sausages weren't a favorite treat, but they were a safety net in the cupboard, there when you needed them most. Hickory Farms wasn't about sitting down for a meal. It was about tasting as you passed by. Counters stacked with cheeses, sausages, and spreads invited shoppers to sample before buying. During the holidays, the displays grew into towers of gift boxes, and the smell of smoked summer sausage filled the air. Whether you picked up a cheese ball for home or just enjoyed the free samples, Hickory Farms added a seasonal flavor to mall shopping that people still remember. Frozen dinners felt like a little luxury, your own tray with meat, mashed potatoes, a vegetable, and a dessert all in one. They liked an idea fried chicken or turkey with stuffing. They all came out piping hot and smelled amazing. And tucked in the corner, those apple slices, sweet and tasty, though they could burn your mouth if you didn't let them cool. For families, frozen dinners weren't just convenient. They were surprisingly delicious, the kind of meal that made an ordinary night feel just a bit more special. Pork and beans were one of the cheapest ways to feed a family, and cans of Big John's seemed to be everywhere. They were simple, beans in a light sauce with just a touch of pork, but when Mom warmed them up on the stove and added her own twist, suddenly they tasted like real comfort food. A little ketchup, some onions, maybe brown sugar, and those beans went from plain to something the whole family looked forward to. Served with hot dogs, spooned over cornbread, or eaten straight from a bowl, pork and beans were proof that even the simplest can could turn into a satisfying meal. Margarine in a tub was found in just about every fridge, stacked right next to the milk. It was cheaper than butter, lasted longer, and spread across toast, potatoes, and cornbread at nearly every meal. The bright yellow tubs, Bluebonnet, Imperial, or the plain store brand, were so common that many families saved the empty containers for leftovers. It had a taste all its own. Not quite butter, but close enough when money was tight. For a lot of households, margarine wasn't just a substitute. It was the everyday spread that made meals complete. Generic peanut butter was simple. No bright packaging or jingles. Just a jar that seemed to last forever in the cupboard. It didn't have the smooth sweetness of Jif or the creamy texture of Skippy, but it was cheap, filling, and always there. A slice of bread with a thick layer of it could carry you through the afternoon, and plenty of kids remember sneaking a spoonful straight from the jar. It had a taste all its own, and for many families, it became one of those everyday foods you never forgot.
Yeah, Kool-Aid's here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got thirst on the run. Get a big, wide, happy ear-to-ear Kool-Aid's mine.
Kool-Aid was pure magic in a tiny envelope. For just a nickel and a scoop of sugar, you could turn a pitcher of water into a bright red, purple, or orange drink that every kid loved. Cherry, grape, lemonade, it didn't matter. Each flavor felt like summer in a glass. Kids froze it in ice cube trays, sipped it from plastic cups, and it showed up at every birthday party like a special treat. It was cheap, it was colorful, and it could turn an ordinary day into something fun. Instant mashed potatoes felt like kitchen magic. Tear open the box, pour the flakes into a bowl, add hot water, and in minutes you had a steaming pile of potatoes ready to serve. They didn't match the flavor of peeling and boiling the real thing, but on a busy night, they were good enough. With margarine, gravy, or even a spoonful of corn mixed in, they became hearty and satisfying. Moms loved how fast they came together, and kids never left the table hungry. A simple box of flakes could turn into comfort food, and that was all that mattered. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. If this trip down memory lane brought back some memories from those times, be sure to subscribe, give the video a like, and share it with someone who might remember these grocery items too. Your support helps keep these memories alive, and I truly appreciate it.